camps and clinic model where we'll go out there and use the physical side of the game to get to the mental side of the game and just life. Like, it's not just, hey, here's how to think the game. No, that's not what I mean when we say mental side of the game. It's more of, here's how to own your morning. Here's some tools that you can use, and not just one and do it, but here's like 10 or 15 that you can choose from. And maybe one of them works for you, trial and error. Like, it's going to be different for you than it is for me. So let's just try some different things that we can have. Developing failure plans for athletes where, hey, when things hit the fan, when it doesn't go well for me, when I'm 0 for 12 and I'm struggling and swimming in my dome, what can I revert to get me back to home base rather than I just keep spinning out of control? And I noticed this by playing and going through this experience a lot. It's like being my own worst enemy for so many years and realizing that if we just step outside the box, look at a 3D view of our life and of who we are and what we're going through, we can get through so much more. So part of it's the camps and clinics, great way to get into that mental side and the physical side stuff. I do some lessons and stuff like that on the side because I enjoy it. I love baseball, but the mental side of everything is my passion. So we'll do inspirational workshops with teams. We'll do leadership workshops as well, where we go in for 2 or 3 days and we break them through with some team culture building with some mental skill tools such as visualization, gratitude, how to handle your emotions on and off the field and how they can affect you from off the field to on the field. A lot of it's that off the field performance affecting the on the field performance. So just giving these athletes tools, working with teams, bringing them together like a family is really what we're all about and what we're doing. And we've been grateful to really get on the same page, especially once I left that job. That was an awesome deal, but leaving it gave me more time to understand some of the areas where I was really lacking in leadership. Big time. I was trying to control things, trying to like, it's all my way, it's this or that, but no. It's been all about the team. And it's like, once you really can come to terms with that, good things are going to keep happening. And that's what we've seen as that. And one of the things that we did was the terminology. A lot of it was like, hey, I'll go work with you. I do this, I do that. Now it's we. Like for this podcast, it's we. Yes, it may be me on here, but I'm representing the whole team. And that's something that just by reading a few different books, Leaders Eat Last was a big one by Simon Sinek that really helped. Just a couple other ones I can't really think of. 21 Laws of Leadership by John Maxwell. Just interesting books that sort of shift that perspective and be like, wow, I need this. Like, there's a reason I'm reading this book right now because I need this freaking book. I better practice some of these tools. So I'm just using all that stuff. Is kind of a little bit about what we do and the pandemic, how that would affect it. Well, all these events are just canceled. It was crazy, man. So like working through the job and setting these up. And I'm like, man, the summer is going to be freaking off the chains. Like we're getting good momentum through the spring, but once the summer hits, when we're in person crushing it, like this is going to blow up. And then it did blow up.
And it blew up the wrong way.
It's like, this one canceled, this one canceled, this one canceled, this one. And then the last one's like hanging on an edge. I'm like, man, I control this one because I get the field. This is still going. And then it's like, city of blah, blah, blah shuts down their fields for 10 months or whatever it is. And then you're like, oh my goodness, man, it just keeps coming. But we're going to start getting back in person towards the end of July, early August. And we'll just push you back to the fall, man. You got to handle some adversity.
You mentioned something about a failure plan, and I had not heard that before. I think I understand the concept, but explain that if you would. And then it sounds like you probably needed to implement a failure plan of your own in this particular climate.
Yeah, the failure plan for me is black coffee and meditation. Meditation's been huge for me, just to use that. We can get into that later. But failure plans for athletes, especially, it's very interesting, especially in baseball, where you really there's a lot of inconsistency with the results, but there can be a lot of consistency with our routines and our habits and how we approach the game and what we think about and some other things like that. So we always talk about preparing for the game, but we never prepare for what happens when the game doesn't go our way. So if you think about like a simple routine before a game would be, I stretch, get my body loose, right? Get my body exercise, I throw, get my arm loose. Then I do a little visualization for 3 minutes. Then I walk into the field, go through the national anthem, take my position. It's game time. Strong mind plus strong body equals ultimate confidence. If we can prepare this in this, we'll be prepared as much as we can. Sometimes it's going to vary, climates, all that stuff. But the failure plan is I'm 0 for 3 in this game, and it's the bottom of the 7th inning, or let's go bottom of the 9th, like professional baseball or college. Bottom of the 9th inning. There's a runner on second base with 2 outs, and I now have an opportunity to win the game. like, what was my plan when I failed earlier in the game to allow me to remain confident, remain present in this moment, even though the past results haven't been my favorite. It could have been 3Ks, it could have been 3-line drives, whatever it was, having a plan for failure. So when you get out or you give up a couple runs or make an error, it's important to have something to kind of bring us back to home base. And it's different for everyone. So a few different ones would be this first and simplest one, the breath. But it doesn't work for everybody. Some people like just can't take a breath. So you got to kind of adapt there. But for some people, it's just a breath. Breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth. Find a focal point. So I don't think the audience can see, but I'm looking at my water bottle, water cup, which probably is the worst thing for a focal point. But if you think
it's clear.
On the bottom, like you just picture like a sign on the bat. Like if this was a bat and there was the D for D Marini on the bat, I'm going to look at my D Marini sign when I miss my pitch, which is right down the middle. I fouled it off. Dang it, I'm pissed. I look at that focal point. Deep breath, back in the box. You watch Mike Trout, the best athletes in the world, they do this every single time without hesitation. So there's a reason behind it. And so that's one way for a hitter. For a pitcher, find something on the glove, a focal point. Look at the foul pole. The foul poles never move or change. We can always look at a foul pole or third base or first base. So just finding something that can divert our attention from that current moment of that failure, I guess that past moment, of that failure, whatever happened that you didn't like, and to get you back into that present moment of this is the plan, this pitch, this moment, this is what's most important right now. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. But if you have a plan for it, we can now use this to be a little bit more consistent. But if you get a little bit more consistent, you probably have better results, which give you more opportunities. So teaching that has been awesome. I love it. It's been a big hit with a lot of the athletes.
How might that apply to business? Somebody who's not, in the flow of a game where there's distinct changing moments, like a foul tip or like a dropped ball or, something like that, where it's like, it's more, the moments are longer, there's like seasons or there's, or weeks, how might that failure plan apply to somebody who just goes to their job every day and things are going sideways. They still have to come home knowing that they'll return the next day and things are still sideways, that kind of thing.
A great question, man. I think there's two things that come to mind. One, self-awareness is really just popping into my mind. Having self-awareness is key to anything. So if we can just be self-aware enough of when those moments are happening, we can process through them, and then accepting that they are going to happen. That's something that I really struggle with personally. Is like, I'm never going to have a dry spell or have a bad month or a bad this or like have nobody talk to me. But things are going to pop up, things are going to pop up where you're not performing at your highest, or something happens in your job, or if you're an owner, maybe your business goes under, or this thing hits and now you can't even go open your coffee shop, which I'm craving coffee shops in person. It sucks. And I'm like very bitter about it. But if you think about it, like, okay, well, what can we revert back to? Like, what is our morning routine? Morning routine is so key. So do I meditate? Do I pray? Do I get in the Bible? Do I listen to positive podcasts or books or anything that's like learning, kind of keeping me engaged with my mindset rather than just totally focusing on what's out of my control at work or what's going on around me at work, instead of, hey, let me focus on what I can control, what's in my like emotional, I don't want to say management, like control, I guess, of this is what I can do right now to help myself be better in the future and to be prepared for when these times do happen. So I think those are just a few things, but accepting that it will happen and not being so hard on yourself. It's so easy to be hard on yourself and say, I got to be this, this, and this. And if I don't do this, I fail everybody.
Yeah. I think it pulls you out of the present moment too, when your mind is wandering to the things you can't control, and so if you bring that stuff home with you, then all of a sudden you're focused on things that are not present and you're missing the things that are, like, being with your family, being with your dog, leaving work at work is critically important. And I imagine that you deal with this with your athletes too. And, they take the bad game home with them, and sometimes they take the good game home with them. They forget to move on with that too, which is, it sounds a little bizarre, but it can be equally problematic when all you do is focus on the good things and forget the places where you need to improve. But also what I'm hearing in there too is that it's really important to know that everything ends, right? Everything is temporary. So thinking about things like they are never going to end is also troubling, because then it doesn't allow us to move on and grow from those experiences. Are you seeing that at all with these kids who are, been basically put on ice for, who knows how long, and aren't able to get together and practice and that kind of thing? I guess we're coming out of it now a little bit, but was that tough to watch with these kids who are like, geez, I missed my junior year or whatever?
Yeah, it was really tough, especially when it first happened, because there's a lot of resentment and a lot of hate and just envy of these opportunities. And if you're a senior, especially, and like now your senior year got taken from you, and most of them didn't even start in the first place. Like it was tough. It was tough for me to just like listen to them, hear them talk, and just hear like what they were going through. Even like little leagues in Cooperstown. Cooperstown's like the best thing if you're 11, 12 years old. And that got canceled, every single one of them. And it's like, that's the childhood dream to go to Cooperstown. And now you're telling me I can't go to Cooperstown because of this. So that was tough for athletes of all ages, really. And now the pro guys are still dealing with it, and college especially too, because now you've got this opportunity. You've lost some depth in the draft now with that being shortened. There's so many different things that go into it, but you're so right that all things are temporary. And if you just ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? As hard as that is, you got to be self-aware. What is this teaching me to grow? And maybe there's an area of your life that you can improve on or find some sort of joy in, even during a time like that.
There's a guy named Kevin Elko who had a big influence on one of my mentors' life, Christian Conti. And Kevin Elko is a professor, psychologist. He works a lot with athletes and sports. I heard him say once, don't say this happened to me. Instead, say this happened for me. Mm. And that shifts your thinking into what you just alluded to, which is, what can I take from this? What is this trying to teach me? This happened for me, for a reason, not to me, like I'm a victim, because there's not much you can do if you're being victimized. But if you're seeing it as an opportunity for growth, there's a lot you can do, including just, maybe considering that, it's time to move on with something else. I think that's a really good perspective to take, which is, what can I learn from this, rather than, wallowing in misery and all that stuff. I was going to ask you, what do you have set up now that things are starting to shift a little bit, states are starting to reopen? Does it look different? Have you yourself learned, to pivot and maybe go on with some online courses? Like we moved all online here at Zephyr with our therapy. I don't know that that's necessarily something you can do with your business, but does MLU have different ways of approaching this now? Has there been a silver lining to all this, or are you just kind of going to go back to business as usual, in person, face to face?
Yeah, it's been huge, man. The silver lining has been I guess it's been that it's taught a lot of people, including the athletes, that Zoom is not that hard to use.
It really isn't.
It's pretty easy. So that's been huge for us, because one of our programs is the Mindset Mastery online program, where we all meet on Zoom once a week, and we get in here for an hour and we chop up some sort of mental skill, some sort of tool, subject, topic. And yeah, we're doing it tonight. And so I got to have you in as a guest too. We like to have guests, so I got to have you in as a guest.
I'd love to. Yeah, that'd be great. I didn't know you were doing that. That's cool.
Yeah, so that's like our main thing online right now, is that. And then we've got courses that are in the works. So I've got a course on confidence that's coming out soon. I just got to put it together. It's already filmed and everything. And then just having little different ideas as we can pop in there to throw it out. But it's been good, man. It's been good self-reflection period.
Oh, very cool. Mindset Mastery. I like that.
Yeah. The double M.
Yeah. All right. How's the nonprofit going? I didn't ask you about that before we got on, so if you don't want to go there, we don't have to.
Oh, it's totally okay. So we paused that one. That thing got paused, which actually ended up being a good thing, because it's led to another idea that a couple people reached out about that we're interested in doing. And that's for same type of mission in a way, just a little different. So we just started talking. We'll see what happens because of it. But I think I'm in a better position now to pursue something like that. The other one was there. We liked it a lot. We had a great idea, and it just never went through because both of us are too busy. So I think this one will be a good idea, and we'll see what happens and what comes out of it. But we got a good team already kind of built for it. So I definitely need to talk to you about that.
Okay, yeah, and we'll keep that one quiet for now. But that's really cool. You got a lot of endeavors